Hey, what's going on, Craig? I just wanted to ask a little bit about your experience working with Narif so far. I think first off, how many months have you been with us now? I think it's been since what, December or January?
At least I think we were in there a little for a trial period before that. You were kind enough to take
Hmm.
care of some stuff while system was updating, and
Hmm.
you worked with me on some LinkedIn stuff, which was terrific. And yeah, but we've been full force, I think, for 9 months now.
Hmm. Awesome. What would you say just overall? I mean, your experience working with us.
Um, like I said before, I told you previously, I think it's we've done some other lead generation before this, and there's been sort of a drift factor from some other companies that don't necessarily um, listen to what we have to say, and um, you guys are approach it a little bit differently, um, and you kind of get with what we want to do. The experience is basically, you spend some time trying to figure out what the business model is, and then you try to expand upon it and by bringing us leads and customers. And so so I appreciate the ability to adapt, and also the ability to listen. And I think that's what the value added for Narif is.
And what would you say, Craig? You mentioned you've tried some companies before and they had a drift factor. What do you mean exactly by that? Just curious.
Uh, a drift factor, meaning that we're interested in a particular geographic zone or area,
Hmm.
and then invariably, somewhere, down the way, you're miles away, and like for my business in particular, we need to be sort of a within 200 miles or 300 miles of wherever
Hmm.
I'm located, or else it becomes a lot more expensive to be able to do this. And other businesses may not necessarily have that issue, but in my particular business, which is solar contracting, yeah, we want to be, you don't have to be super close, but we would like
Hmm.
to be within, a 3 hour driving window of being
Right.
able to do this. And so drifting, is basically, eventually, finding stuff that's a little far out of the way. That's what I meant by that.
Okay. Gotcha. And what would you say? I mean, the meetings we have gotten you over the past few months. I'd like to hear because, like, obviously we can get anyone meetings, but if those meetings aren't going to be leading to closed deals, obviously there's no point. So I'm curious, Craig, what would you say about the meeting quality from the meetings we put on your calendar so far?
Um, there's, I would say probably about at least 50, 60% are people that we want to continue to talk to.
Hmm.
And so that's a great thing.
Hmm.
And there's been, occasions when then there has been a couple of times where it has not worked out, but I don't necessarily think that's Narif. I think that's really just a question of people who want to reach out and speak to me or speak to
Hmm.
us, and they would do anything that they can to be able to do that. And then,
Hmm.
so they're trying to sell me something in particular, and so um, so that's the thing. And so I think at least, like I said before, you bring me leads, and of those leads, do 50, 60% of them are people that I would like to, or potentially can I do business with them? Absolutely. And that's a big number. So we have a long lead cycle in my
Hmm.
business, and so nothing is going to be done. You're not going to give me a lead, and then we're not going to close it in a week. It usually is a longer process for us, unfortunately. But of all the people that you brought us, we're still talking to a vast majority of them.
Hmm. Awesome. Do you have an idea of the amount dollar wise in your pipeline from those meetings that are continuing in the sales process, or?
Yeah, I would say that it's probably at least $4 or $5 million worth of
Nice.
projects that potentially, will be done. And, hopefully we get half of them next year after we vetted them. So that's, let's say conservatively $2 million worth of projects, which is great
Awesome.
for us. Yeah.
And Craig, I know we had a conversation, like our initial conversation, I think it was back in December of 2023, and you talked about some of the other lead gen agencies you've used before. I'm curious if you could kind of paint a picture of where you're at back in December and what you're kind of doing for outreach. I know you've had your own like manual methods, but just kind of curious where you were before we work with us back towards the end of 2023.
I think for us, the biggest challenge is, like I said, we're commercial solar contractor, so it's a difficult process to sort of, and if we have a business cycle that is a year or longer to be able to do this, it's
Mhm.
difficult to keep a dedicated sales force on there because they need to get paid and get fed, and that's completely understandable. Just that the cycle of business takes a little bit longer, and it doesn't necessarily adjust for that. So I think for using you folks, we're getting the benefit of being able to have a sort of a better pipeline of customers that we can talk to on our own time, and develop organically, as opposed to the dedicated sales force he wants to close the deal tomorrow, and
Mhm.
which is great, and I love that, but doesn't necessarily mean that the customer wants to close the deal tomorrow. And
Mhm.
so we have to be cognizant of that. But so we're for what Narif does is that basically it helps keep the pipeline full of qualified leads and someone to talk to all the time, and we certainly appreciate that, and it's been very effective for us.
Awesome. And Craig, last question for you. Just curious if you were talking to someone in your position that was thinking about working with us. Maybe they're looking to make some big strides over the next couple of years, like you guys in the commercial solar space, and they don't really have like a really, maybe it was the amount of appointments, maybe their quality of appointments weren't quite there yet. What would you say to them if they were kind of on the fence with working with us?
They're on the fence, then I think they need to reevaluate the business, and the way that you're doing things is the future. There's no way to sugarcoat that. Unfortunately, you guys are the model for what sales is going to be over the next few years, especially in this particular business. And there's a variety of reasons that I don't want to get too deep into the weeds with, but the reality of it is that we all need to sort of wake up to that thing. And um, you know what you guys do best is find uh, customers for us, and you do that in a very cost effective and timely manner. And I think that if anyone is not using that and is still sticking with sort of an older methodology, that's not really going to work, because the mantra in the solar industry really is lower prices, and that means that you're going to have to look to cut corners, and not cut corners, but cut costs in any particular
Mhm.
way. And you got to be careful. And so that's what you guys do. And like I said before, it's really just about being able to manage the business in an effective way. And that's what Narif does.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, Craig. It's been awesome working with you, and I'm looking forward to helping you over the next few months.
I look forward to it myself. I look forward to retiring because of Narif. Thank you.
That's the goal. All right.
Thank you. All right. Good talking to you, man.